Alright guys, we're going to be installing our Linear 18 Elite Plus series into our new Tacoma TRD Pro and Trailhunter grill upgrade. This is our Elite Plus series lamp, which means it has a low power mode in white, a high power mode in white. It also has a white and yellow combo mode, as well as a standard yellow mode. This light's going to be 21,000 lumens in the combo mode. So you're going to get an awesome light output with great distance, as well as a good even spread because you've got some drive and spot reflectors in here. Let's go ahead and get this installed in the truck. Alright, so we're going to start off by removing the 8 push pins holding on this plastic radiator shroud panel here. Once you have the 8 of those removed, let's just go ahead and remove this panel out of our way. Next, we will be removing some 10mm bolts from the top of the grill. There's 1, 2, and 3. Alright, next step, we're going to remove the electrical connectors from the top of the grill. There's going to be 3 connectors on the passenger side and 2 on the driver's side. Not all vehicles will have this number of connectors, depending on the options that your vehicle came with. And then once your electrical connectors are disconnected, we're going to come back in here with a pry tool and pop the connectors off of the active air shutters. And now we will move on to removing our fender flares and the inner carpet, getting that detached from the fender itself and getting the body panel unsecured from there. We're going to go ahead and remove the fender flare. By doing this, there's going to be 7 10mm bolts we're going to remove from the vehicle so we can pull the fender flare off. Once you have your screws removed, we're going to gently but firmly pull on the fender. These are just plastic clips. They should just work itself around. Just like that, fender flare is removed. And we will take off the remaining 1 bolt on the bottom here holding the carpet in the wheel well, as well as 1 bolt holding on the plastic fender for the front clip. Now that the fenders are off and the bolts on this side of the front fascia have been removed, let's go ahead and start pulling off the front fascia and grill. This is all going to come off in one piece. Now again, on your vehicle, if you don't have the aftermarket bumper on there, there's going to be a few more bolts and nuts to take off, but on this one, we don't have to do any of that since they already have the aftermarket bumper. This fascia piece, you're just going to pull out and up slightly and give it a little wiggle until it starts to disconnect. Just like that. Pull up on the grill to release it from the clips on top. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. Give this front fascia a little pull till we get it to release from the clips. Once you start pulling this out, be careful not to scratch your paint or anything. Make sure to double check for anything that may still be connected. On this vehicle, I'll have to remove a zip tie, it looks like, holding some of the winch wiring in place. Alright, so once you get the front fascia and grill released from here, there is going to be a few things to unplug down here on this harness. You're going to have your fog light plugs, 1 on each side to remove, as well as your front parking sensors in the center. You will need to remove those as well. Once you have done so, we should be able to just pull this up and remove from the vehicle. Alright guys, we're going to take off the active air shutter and get to that factory light bar on the Toyota grill. There is a couple steps that'll be different taking ours apart compared to yours because this does have some aftermarket parts from CBI when they did the bumper install. Let's get into it though. All right, guys, now that we've removed the bolts from the active air shutter, we can go ahead and just pull the active air shutter up and off the back side of the grill. We're gonna set that aside. And now we're gonna come back in here and we're gonna get the factory light bar removed. This is gonna be mostly just with Phillips screws that are securing the light bar right into the plastic. So let's start taking this apart and we'll do a size comparison of our light going in versus how big this light bar is coming out. Once you've unscrewed the light, make sure to unplug your connectors. And there you go. Your OE light bar has been removed. You can see how big this light bar is, not just in the size of the light bar, but the bracketry for it. We're gonna be swapping in that linear 18. All right, guys, now that the factory light is out of here, we're gonna take our left hand and right hand brackets for our new linear 18 to go in here. And we're gonna set these into the factory grill in the original mounting locations using some of the factory screws that were holding the previous lamp in there. Let's go ahead and get a couple of these bolted on. We're going to place the bracket right over those factory locations. It's gonna take 2 factory screws. Again, these are just going into plastic, so do not over tighten. This bar is a lot lighter than the factory bar that came out of it. Just like that. 1, 2, bracket is secure. Let's do our right hand side bracket. Push that down. Make sure it's seated all the way on top of the OE factory stands there. Same thing, grab 2 screws, 1 top and 1 bottom. Again, do not need to go crazy Hulk tight on these. You want them snug, but you don't need to break it. Now that those are nice and secure, I'm gonna go ahead and grab our lamp. Before installing the light into your grill, your kit's gonna include 2 filler pieces. They will be labeled with a right hand and a left hand side. The right hand side will go on the right hand side of the lamp if you're looking at the lamp from the front of the vehicle. There's also going to be VHB tape on here, so make sure to peel that off. And then you'll install that as far to the right hand side as you can go. Listen for that click. Make sure it's clipped onto the lamp all the way. And grab your left hand side, peel your VHB tape. Same thing, we're going to push that onto the bottom of the lamp until you hear it snap into place. Just like that. Now your lamp can be installed into the grill, and this will cover the gap above the camera area in the grill. Make sure you do your lock washer and then flat washer on your hardwire. Lock washer, flat washer, just like so. I would recommend as well, before we go through and put our active air shutters back on, with the hardware just slightly tightened, let's put this back on the front of the truck and kind of get the bumper back in place and make sure that our light bar looks like it's level and lined up to shoot out in front of us. Once you have the grill just mocked up on the vehicle, take a look at your lamp, make sure that the angle is where you want it. Make sure that that lamp looks pretty flat and level, so that way when you go to test your light, you're getting the proper light output. You're not shooting up towards the sky or down towards the ground too much. And once you're happy with that location, you can even come in with it on the vehicle still. Snug up your bolts so that way it doesn't move. This can always be adjusted later through these holes as well. Now that we have that secure, we'll pull this back off, get our active air shutters back on, and reassemble. All right, guys, just a quick note on these new Tacomas here. Toyota did a good job of making the auxiliary switches very accessible for the wiring. So once you have your factory pigtail that should have came with your vehicle from the dealer, you'll plug that guy in. You've got 4 wires that come off this pigtail. The larger white and black stripe, this is going to be your ground for all your accessories to go to. Then you also have a black wire. This is going to be your 15 amp output. A green wire, this will be your 10 amp output, and I believe that is auxiliary switch 2. And then you have a white wire that is going to be your 5 amp switch, and that's going to be auxiliary 3. For this install, because we are doing our Elite Plus series bar, it's a 14.1 amp load, but that's at 14.4 volts. It has a peak draw of 19 amps. So because of that, we are going to use the harness still in line with the factory auxiliary wiring. That way we don't overload it. Also, another note, on the iForce Max motors, you probably are not going to have a battery in the engine bay. So if you don't have something like SDHQ's power supply, you are going to have to extend your power and ground wires from the relay back to the battery underneath that rear seat.